Hello, this video is going to be about what are now called accountable health networks. You might hear them referred to as AHNs around here in the southern Piedmont of North Carolina. Now, if you're in other parts of the country, you may hear them referred to as high performance networks, and these are physician networks. You might think of a PPO, a preferred provider organization, or a POS, or an HMO, or something like that. And generally, this is what has become sort of a broad group of doctors and hospitals and other ambulatory centers and so forth that have banded together, and they've been sniffed over by the insurance companies. They have good practice patterns. Generally, they accept a predetermined fee schedule, so you as the insured are not caught in the crossfire of this particular medical provider trying to bill you one thing for his or her services, and then the insurance company saying, well, that's not reasonable and customary, so we're only going to allow X amount of this bill and pay our benefits there, and then you're stuck with the difference. So in some sort of a preferred provider network, point of service network, POS, an HMO, health maintenance organization, some sort of a predetermined network where the health providers have gotten in cahoots with the insurance providers and they've agreed on certain things, pricing and so forth. What we're talking about today is something different. So think of the network that I just described in some shape or form, but then think of a smaller network within the network. And generally that hospital, that network that I'm speaking of, the smaller network, the high performance network, or the AHN, the Accountable Health Network, is built around some cluster of very tightly related medical providers. And that could either be a hospital organization, where you've got a central hospital or hospital system that maybe even has bought up some local practices, maybe a lot of local practices, maybe all of the local practices. And then they brand themselves as, say, a Carolina's Healthcare System or a Novant system. So what this AHN is about, specifically to us in the southern Piedmont of North Carolina near the Charlotte area, is about talking about the AHN that's been put together by, you may have known them in this area as WellPath, and then they became Coventry Healthcare of the Carolinas, and today, because Aetna has bought all of that up, they're now called Aetna. So your ID card or the plan brochure that you've been presented with may say Carolina's Healthcare System and then Aetna or Coventry. You'd see those two logos prominently displayed. And even on your ID card, you will see that potentially that Carolina's Healthcare System, that teal round Tree of Life logo. Okay? And so if you're considering a CHS AHN, Accountable Health Network, medical plan that's built around and geared towards that specific network, you will have that hospital system logo on that ID, on your ID card, okay? Because you're going to be encouraged to go to that network. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. If you live in the Gaston area, you may see Caro for Caramont, okay? Because that's the tagline over there for the Gaston system. But those are the two AHNs that I'm aware of locally that we'll be talking about, okay? Okay, now how does an AHN, Accountable Health Network, I'm just going to call them that, differ from, say, a PPO? Well, we're going to call a PPO a broad network. Okay, so in North Carolina, Coventry, for example, or Aetna, they're going to have a broad network. In this area, in the southern Piedmont, it's going to mean that you can go either to Novant, which is Presbyterian, or you could go to Carolina's Healthcare System. That's the broad network. That's the old school. That's what we've been used to up until now. The new school is to build a network, a tight network, with Carolina's Healthcare System within that broad network. And as far as you're concerned, if you buy this plan or if you have signed up for this plan because of rates or benefits or a combination of the two, as far as you're concerned, you set your mind to think that that's the only network in town. It's a hard squeeze to the Carolina's Healthcare System network, to in a hard direction away from Presbyterian. That's what you're deciding, or that's what you have decided. Okay? So when you look at your lineup of your sheet of benefits, okay, and you're going to see actually 3 columns. Normally you see 2 columns when you look at benefits. In the network, out of the network. Okay? You're either in the broad PPO or you're out of the broad PPO. Okay, that. What you're going to see, chances are, is you're going to see tiers. 3 tiers. Okay? Everything now is becoming tiered. And when I say that, I mean T-I-E-R. Tiers. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. You're going to want to be in the best tier. Okay? It's going to have the best copays. It's going to have the lowest out-of-pocket expenses, etc. In order to stay in that best tier or tier 1, number 1, you need to choose a PCP. That stands for primary care physician. Okay, if you're a woman, that's not your gynecologist. A primary care physician is professionally and clinically trained in about the first 2 or 3 levels of all your specialties. Pediatrics, orthopedics, dermatology, gynecology, what they call, this is family medicine. Okay, and because they're trained that way, they have a unique capability of being able to refer. First of all, they'll treat you in those specialties. You can go to a primary care doctor for gynecological issues. You can go there for dermatology, orthopedics, cardiology. You can go see your family doctor. They're trained in those areas. But chances are, if you get beyond their training, they will refer you. They're professionally trained to do this to another cardiologist or another specialist of some sort. Okay, so at least for Carolina's healthcare system and Aetna or Coventry. Step 1, you need to choose a PCP doctor. If you've already got someone that you used to, like a woman that wants to go to her gynecologist, you can still do that. You can still get advice from the gynecologist, but you've got to choose a PCP doctor if you're in this plan, and you've got to get your referral from that doctor, not your gynecologist. Okay? Step 1, choose a doctor. Step 2, when you access care, when you need to go to the doctor, you need to go to that doctor that you've seen. Okay? You need to go to that doctor. Now, let's say you don't have a doctor. A lot of people these days don't have doctors. Maybe this is new for you. And well, choose one from the list. Choose one. And go see that doctor. And tell him, I chose you from a list. I have a health insurance plan. They told me to do this. You're my doctor. If you don't like that doctor for any reason, you can change. Change doctors. Go back to your healthcare provider. Call someone on the back of your ID number, on the back of your ID card. Call that member service representative on that 800 number. Tell them you want to change that doctor. For whatever reason, you don't like that doctor. Find someone you like, because you're trusting that person with your health and your life. And maybe your children. Okay? Family medicine is designed to treat your family. Okay, for example, me, I have dry skin. Guess what? My son inherited dry skin. He got my dry skin. So if we're going to see one doctor, and my primary care doctor, whom we have a primary care doctor for our whole family, if he says, well, your daddy's got dry skin, I see it, and you're right there. Same thing. Like, it's an inherited predisposition. But if my son is going to see some other physician, and I'm going to see another physician, maybe they won't figure out that it's an inherited predisposition, and you waste time and money and effort and treatment and all that stuff. So it's wise for your whole family to go see the same doctor as a family doctor, and let that doctor refer you in the system if you need a referral. Okay? All right, I'm going to get to the part that really why I wanted to make this video for you. I wish I could tell you with this setup, with this AHN setup, that when you do what I'm asking you to do and what the plan asks you to do and requires you to do, to go see your primary care doctor that you've chosen and not self-refer. That's a term. Self-refer means you say, I want to go to a cardiologist direct, or I want to go to an orthopedic direct, or I need to go to a sports medicine doctor, skipping a primary care doctor. These plans don't want you to do that. That's expensive. It may be unnecessary. You may wind up going there anyway, but chances are, in the long run, self-referring is generally frowned upon because it wastes money in the long run. You say, well, I've got to go to 2 doctors now instead of 1. Yeah, that's true. I get that argument. But do what the plan says. It's better to go to a primary care doctor and get the referral. So, I wish I could tell you that the plan, with its tightness, is so tight and so integrated and so well constructed that when that doctor refers you to the next step, that specialist, I wish I could tell you that all of the doctors will keep you in that network, Carolina's Healthcare, where you need to be at the next step at the specialist. I wish I could tell you that they are all responsible or aware or whatever you want to say about keeping you or your child in that network. And I wish I could tell you that if they send you somewhere else, like over to Novant for some reason, that they themselves would be liable for doing the wrong thing in terms of, maybe it's the right thing medically, but it's the wrong thing in terms of you staying in that tier 1, getting the best benefits. But I can't tell you that. That's why I'm making the video. It's your responsibility to make sure when you go to that primary care doctor to pull out your card and say, Doc, I need to stay in this place that's got that logo. Chances are that's the best thing for you. In other words, I can't even say that all of the doctors with a logo on it are in there, but if you stick to a doctor in a referral situation that has that green tree of life for the Carolinas Healthcare System or the Caro for the Gaston, you're probably doing the right thing. But even there, to make absolutely sure, let's say your primary care doctor is Mr. Smith. Okay, you go see Mr. Smith. You wrote Mr. Smith down on your enrollment card. Mr. Smith is your primary care doctor in your Accountable Health Network. And you need to go see Dr. Taylor, who is a dermatologist. Okay, and you say, Doctor, is Dr. Taylor one of these doctors that's got this green teal of life logo? Is Dr. Taylor in the Carolinas Healthcare System logo network? Is Dr. Taylor in the Caro network if you're in Gaston? Okay, you find out, yes. Feel a little bit better. But if you want to make sure that you're in that tier 1, which the dollars could be big because you could wind up being admitted into the hospital. Okay, you want to make sure you've got the best benefits. I would turn your card around on the back and I would call that 800 number and I would make darn sure that Dr. Taylor is in your small network. And I would ask Coventry to verify that. And I would ask them to document the call. That's what I would do. And to make sure that you're still staying in the network. They will make the referral. You're required for them to make the referral. But they, the doctors, are not responsible for making the wrong kind of referral. Okay? In other words, referring you somewhere outside of your tight network. That's your responsibility. And there are only 2 ways that I'm aware of to do it. Number 1, make sure your doctor puts you with a doctor who's in the Carolinas Healthcare Network. They should do that anyway, but I know, for example, that they don't. I know one instance, and it didn't turn out pretty. So I'm warning you. The other way is to call to make sure, because the most current information is online, and your customer service people will know that. Okay? So these are good plans. They're very conscientious, cost-affordable plans. Carolina's Healthcare System is a great system. I don't know Caro, but I'm sure they're a great system if you live over there. These things are designed to work. They do work well, but the responsibility of you staying in the system when you go beyond your primary care doctor level is yours, not the system's. That's the main point. So be careful, okay? All right.